War Room Nation, welcome to the War Room, episode 215. We will be joined by our roundtable guest, Hank Rawlerson of the Imaginary Players, to discuss the NFL preseason, full of flags, full of referees. What else? We're going to talk about the Little League World Series. We're going to talk about Kevin Durant and big checks. Is Steph Curry a better offensive player than LeBron Raymond James? Is James Harden the greatest player in the world? We all know the answers. But sit back, relax. Thank you for joining us at the round table in the War Room. You could be anywhere in the world, but you happen to be here with us, and we appreciate it. So enjoy. Episode 215 of the War Room starts now.
Hey guys, if you're into fantasy football, you've got to check out FanDuel.com. At FanDuel, you play in 1-week fantasy football leagues for real money with immediate cash payouts. You only play when you want, and you can change your team any week. FanDuel is paying out over $10 million every week this season. And right now, FanDuel is giving you up to $200 free. That's right. For every dollar you deposit, FanDuel will match it up to $200. Click the banner now or go to FanDuel.com, click the radio microphone in the upper right corner, and use promo code BLOGTALK.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the War Room. We got Dez, Kill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the Hot Block Commander. How you want it in a 1 or 2 hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level. Bold with the topic, sort of like the rebel. When it's game time, they like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerates speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4 for 26 saw the war in Kuwait. It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated. What's good, sports fans? We are back at the table, so that can only mean one thing. You are once again live in the War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports on the WRS Podcast Network. I'm Devin McMillan. The blueprint is on the injured list today, so I'm joined at the round table as usual by my brother B. Austin. And we got a special guest co-host, our bro from a different show. We got Hank Rawlerson of the Imaginary Players. What's going on, Hank?
What's going on, Dev?
Pleasure
to be here today.
B. Austin, you in the building? What's going on, bro? All right. you're not talking with us right now? All right, well, anyway, everybody know that NFL preseason has been full of flags. That's a little frustrating. The Little League World Series is getting a lot of attention, and folks from coast to coast are pouring ice water on their heads, and we'll discuss all of it. So do us a favor. Make sure you join us right now in the JW Philly Realty chat room at blogtalkradio.com/The War Room, or you could join us on Facebook or Twitter at War Room Sports, so you can jump into the conversations as well. Also, as usual, you can call us directly when we open up the Digital Extreme Tech hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. But before we get started, of course, we got to remind you guys to check out the great shows on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. You can get there from our main site, warroomsports.com, or you can get there directly at WRSPN.com. You'll find shows such as The Broad Street Line with Roy Burton and Chris Domingo, the Gaffer and Hooligan Soccer Podcast with Kamal Hilton and Aaron Nielsen. They're actually doing 2 different shows now. They're doing the MLS and CONCACAF version that they usually do, and they're doing one exclusively for the War Room Sports Network, which is talking European soccer. So if you're a soccer head or a football head, make sure y'all check that out. You can also check out, I know, right, After Further Review with the Mayor, Pop Spot Sports Radio with Chuck Modiano and Dr. Eddie Moore, and a whole lot more. You can also check the listings at fatsradio.com. That's PHATZ radio.com for air times of your favorite WRSPN sports shows there as well, including our show, The War Room, which airs there on Sundays and Tuesdays at 3 p.m. What's good, fellas? What's going on?
Not much, man. Just getting past this last couple weeks of the dry season, man. Well, you got preseason football, so it's getting a little bit better, but it's been a long summer.
It's crazy in the world, though, man. Y'all been keeping up with this whole Ferguson situation?
Man, I'm on the block running from the cops. shots, more stuff that rhymes and sounds cool like 90s hip-hop.
Yeah, it's real on them streets, man. Like I watch that coverage every day, and I just can't believe what's going on there. I mean, y'all saw they killed somebody else. You know, this guy.
Yeah.
His situation is debatable. You know, because it seems like he was looking for trouble. I'm not sure. You know, he was daring the cops to do this. However, I still think unnecessary force was used. You know, taser could have been involved, or you know, maybe you pop a warning shot in his leg or something, get him on the ground. But you know, they shoot the kid.
That's what I was
saying. Head. Yeah, like I don't get it.
That's what I was thinking. Like they got tanks, they got all sorts of heavy artillery, but they don't have no tasers in Ferguson. Like they just shoot to kill automatically.
Look, man.
Or
the bottom line with that situation is it's inhumane. It's inhumane. I mean, deadly force is always supposed to be the absolute last option. And in almost all of these situations, it seems as if it's the go-to. If I'm a cop, my job is to find a way to disarm you and stop you from harming others and harming yourself and harming me long before it ever gets to the point where, it's time for me to send this gentleman to his or lady to their maker. Like, it gets to that point so much quicker in today's society with police officers. And I don't want to get into the whole ethnic, based issue and black and white, but just generally speaking, because we'll touch on that later on in the show. Don't get it twisted. We're not scared of touching that issue, but that'll take a whole hour in and of itself. Just right now, when it comes to just human beings, people in general, I feel as though the police in this country are far too quick to resort to deadly force, man. And it's sad.
I mean, even in that second case, the Powell case, you know, he had a knife, you know, so a lot of people will have to ask themselves, okay, if you're a cop, what would you do?
Bring a knife to a gunfight?
Yeah, so it's like they don't have confidence in their leg shots, man. Like, seriously, you didn't have to kill the dude. He had a knife. He didn't have a gun. It's a whole different story if he had a gun. But like B said, we'll talk about a little bit of that stuff later. So right now, let's get into some sports and let everybody know what happened this week while they were on that grind trying to make a buck. And while y'all were on the grind, it's brought to you as usual by DirecTV. If you like a better TV experience than cable has to offer, including that NFL Sunday ticket, which you will need in a matter of weeks, make sure you go to our website, WarRoomSports.com, click on the DirecTV logo, order yourself a better TV experience at a discounted War Room Sports sign-up rate. If you call yourself a sports fan, then you gotta have DirecTV. All right, fellas, this first story we're gonna talk about it. I guess it could have affected tonight's preseason game, even though it's just preseason, so it wouldn't have mattered either way. But the Steelers running backs, both of them. I mean, they have more, but you know, basically when you look on their depth chart, it's about Le'Veon Bell and LeGarrette Blount. These two jabronis are facing marijuana charges because they were pulled over in a car that Bell was driving about 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday, and the cop noticed a strong odor of marijuana coming from the vehicle. When he searched them, he found a 20-gram bag of the good stuff inside the car. It was Bell, Blount, and a female passenger.
Oh.
So is this how it is in the running back meeting room of the Pittsburgh Steelers? What's going on here?
Yeah, you know what, man? I'm just look, man. I'm not. I personally do not partake of the herbs of the earth at this juncture in my life. But really, it's not a Class 1 drug. It's not something that stops these guys from performing at a high level. Oh, and to the wise listeners that are tuning in, why do I say that? Well, because 80% of the National Football League gets hot. These guys are just being sloppy. They're just being sloppy, but we know Roger Goodell is going to come and smack them on top of the head because of the image problem that this creates. And I guess my whole thing is, if the proper way to me to diffuse this whole situation is to embrace the decriminalization of marijuana and just say, look, man, just like anybody that has a beer in the middle of the day, sure, it's stupid. It's not something that you or I may do, but it's not that big of a deal to have a beer in the middle of the day. It's not that big of a deal to roll one up, light it, and toke it in the middle of the day. I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah. How about when you're driving, though? Because Bell is expected to be served with a, he's going to be charged with a DUI at some point. They took
a DUI.
They drew blood from him, so
it's a little different.
That's the point, though. If you realize all of these type of stories that we hear, like all of these dudes are pulled over in a vehicle when they're high or when they're drunk. Like if you're going to do
and
that,
they can afford a car
stay at home, or they can afford to stay in their crib in their movie room somewhere.
Now, I will say this, and I'm not trying to be funny. If you watch any of the movies, Cheech and Chong, Friday, whatever, you'll never notice any car accidents from potheads. And I think if you think in your recesses, ain't nobody crashing no cars under the influence of marijuana. This ain't going to happen. And if you got high, you would know why. But I'm not, I'm just saying.
What's your thoughts about these dudes?
I'm just disappointed that LeGarrette Blount would make it so easy for the headline writers.
I know.
Like, come on, man. Your last name is wrong, dog. and I blame Pittsburgh. Yeah, I blame Pittsburgh for even, putting him around your young rookie running back. Because, LeGarrette Blount's been a knucklehead for years. Like, he's known for punching people and getting high. Like, you should always have some sort of supervision. Like, his visits with your running back should be supervised at all times, like a bad dad. Like, LeGarrette Blount shouldn't be around, prized possessions. So I agree with you, Beyonce. I'm like, come on, it's marijuana. We're at the point now where, almost half the states in the nation are doing some form of legalization of marijuana. So, it's time for the NFL to get with the times. Sure, I guess driving under the influence is wrong, but really, how much were they smoking for a cop on a motorcycle to be able to catch that whiff? Like, I find trouble believing that he really caught a whiff of marijuana, and that's why he pulled him over.
See, that's where I was unclear. I was unclear about what he actually pulled them over for. If it was just because he caught a whiff, I'm like, was he sitting, behind them at a light or something? If that's the case, then they're just dumb. You see motorcycle cops.
The world is telling us in this day and age, the police don't need a reason to pull you over.
DWB.
So,
DWB, And there was a Camaro, so, it wasn't that flashy of a car, but, still a DWB.
Well, Camaros are hot in the hood.
Well,
and we also got to blame the woman, too. As Chris Brown said, these hoes ain't loyal, man. She's supposed to eat that whole case.
She tried, though. Everybody copped to ownership of the weed, which made me think they probably questioned everybody individually and not in a group because they didn't get a chance to plan, who was going to cop to it. And she tried to be honorable, but they were trying to be honorable at the same time, so it just didn't work out for them.
All right.
So we'll see what happens with that.
I take my comment back.
They are going to play tonight, too, against Philly. They're going to play. Their coach probably listen, I smoke every day. I ain't mad.
I know. Mike Tomlin looks like he don't smoke blunt, so he looks like he rolled up white people.
Man, never mind. I'm not going to snitch. That's right. Never mind.
Yeah, well, Mike Tomlin says, look, they got a lot to work on as far as their offense goes, so those guys are going to play tonight. So, they might have some time to work on it because once Goodell once he get his hands on it, it might be at least a 2-game suspension. So, at least. So, we'll see how that goes. All right. So,
you can book that. They catch us 2 games.
We mentioned it earlier in the intro. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge has swept the nation. A lot of people from the world of sports are jumping in as well. It's been going on for 24, 25 days, and they say 38 different chapters of the the ALS Association has raised over $41.8 million from the awareness that a social media trend is putting out there, which I say kudos to, because a lot of people use social media to start other trends that do nothing for the world and do nothing for society. This is finally one that's positive. I ended up doing it. I'm not going to front you at first. I was like, I'm not doing that. That's silly. I'd rather just give $100, but people kept challenging me. So, I ended up doing it. Actually made a video. I tried to be a little creative with it, I think two people from War Room Sports so far did it.
SportsTV.com.
Yeah, V. Austin is on deck. He's supposed to be next with the challenge. We still haven't seen anything. What's up, Hank? You pouring the ice over your head, man?
Yeah, I got hit by a challenge yesterday, but shout out to my boy O. But I told him he had to redo it because his water looked real warm. It wasn't any sort of ice or anything in the bucket. Nah, he told me that he only had one tray of ice in the crib, so that's what he used. So I told him he got to do it over before that.
Yeah, he got to do a do-over. You can't do it with the warm water and then try to challenge somebody else. That's not cool.
Exactly. Did y'all see it popped up today, 50 Cent's ALS challenge to Floyd Mayweather?
No,
I ain't see that.
50, I tried not to like that dude. I can't help it, man. He can't rap it. That's my homie, yo. He is hilarious. The way he goes at Floyd.
I got to see that.
What he said to Floyd was, Floyd, will you accept my ALS ESL challenge? I will donate $750,000 to a charity of your choice if you can read a full page out of a Harry Potter book out loud without starting and stopping the fucking up.
He killed Floyd. Every week he kills Floyd.
Man.
How do you the best boxer? Wait, hold on, guys. How do you the best pugilist in the world, but you getting bullied by 50 Cent? 50 be bullying dude.
It was all good just a week ago.
Well, didn't they fight at one point, and 50 did beat him up. So,
50
they've already been down that path.
And
they
his
scuffled
logic
a little bit?
and explanation for winning is my exact logic and explanation for winning as to why, he said, look, I'm not going to stand back and try and throw hands with Floyd Mayweather. I'm going to lean on his little ass.
You weigh like a buck.
He's the size of a woman. He's the size, Floyd, yeah. He said, 50 said, Floyd's the size of a woman. I'm 220 pounds. He's not getting away from that work.
Yeah. Can definitely understand that. So yeah, like I said, kudos to the whole ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of people out there just doing it because it's on social media and probably, have no clue what ALS is, or at least they didn't before they did it. But that's the whole point of the challenge, is for awareness. And when you think about awareness, it's like, okay, some people who may not know what they're doing, they know at least what it is now. Some of those people may have taken it a step farther, went to Google, did a little bit of research, and then you might get a small percentage of those people who actually donate to the cause, and $41.8 million later, awareness is working, and social media is used for good for a change. The sad news about it, I don't know if you guys heard this, one of the guys who is the founder of the whole Ice Bucket Challenge, I think his name is Corey Griffin, 27 years old. They started it because his friend has ALS. This dude died yesterday in a diving accident. I think he's from Boston. I'm not sure where he was. I think they were in like Nantucket or something. So they said just hours before he was at his own little fundraiser and had raised like $100,000 for the cause. And then he's out trying to have some fun, and he dies in a diving accident. So damn, that's kind of messed up.
Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace.
All right, well,
he definitely created a legacy around his life.
Yeah, that's
even
crazy.
If it's a silly one.
And he did it in like 25 days. From one debilitating disease to another, Jim Kelly, they said he's improving. They said basically they found no evidence of cancer remaining in his system, which is definitely good news because they did the little, outside the lines on Jim Kelly a few weeks ago. That had me staring at the ceiling a little bit, watching somebody I grew up watching go through this and, lose weight and just seem like he was, I don't know. I was convinced that he was losing his battle, but they're saying now he has no evidence of remaining cancer, so hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that Outside the Lines?
Yeah, I did not see
I thought
it. Go ahead, brother.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought I agree with you, Dev. I thought he was on his way out. I mean, not to make light of the situation, but he looked bad. I mean, even the way that what's his name, Andre Reed was at the Hall of Fame speech talking about him.
Right.
They kind of seemed like they had chalked him up. So yeah, it's great news to hear that he's recovering from this. I mean, cancer is serious, and it's great to hear that people are, people like Jim Kelly and other people are finding a way, to fight it.
Yeah, I can tell you from personal experience that sicknesses like that, particularly cancer, it's a mental thing. So I shout his family out and his friends, and even his extended family at the National Football League, and them in some ways being a brotherhood of men, kind of supporting him, because it's your mental condition that enables you to battle that. Now, we know that in a lot of cases, no matter what spirit you're in, it may just be your time. But a lot of times the difference between battling back and succumbing is how strong you are and what your will and resolve is. I've had some intimate folks, folks that were very close to me that fought that battle. So, I can only imagine what he's going through, but I have seen it, up close and personal. So, salute to his family, man, for sticking with him. And I saw how his daughter, they was there, they're around him. So mentally, he probably was in a good place, and that helped, considerably.
Yeah, they had they made the T-shirts. They had the little hashtag Kelly Strong, all that kind of stuff, or Kelly Tough. I think they wasn't trying to bite the coach from Indy. I think it was like Kelly Tough or something like that. But yeah, he had a good support system around him. This is totally off subject. I mean, it's about a disease, but I was watching the news earlier, man, and saw that the people that they brought back from Africa that had contracted Ebola, like those people seem to have beat the disease. And when they first brought them back and everybody was asking, like, why would they do that? That disease is like a death sentence. First thing I said is they probably got a cure here in America that they're hiding from the Africans. They done brought those people back over here, and both of them are still alive, looking healthy, kicking. They just want to let them Africans die, man.
Dev just told y'all. So I hope that we have millions of listeners tuned in. Dev just broke it down for y'all. All that stuff you see in Africa killing the Africans, man, that's to keep them in check so that the natural resources are in place and in play for certain European and Western nations. Like all of the cures for AIDS, Ebola, West Nile, all that stuff, that's in Atlanta at the CDC. The cure is always, if you got the money, you can do what Magic did and just go buy the cure on the humble. Ebola is one of those things where they don't want it to grow. They don't want it to get out of control, so they're going to just cure Ebola on the humble real quick. Anytime it touches a fair white maiden's skin, they're going to take care of her real quick. So the cure been around, man.
Mm-hmm.
Cure been around. That's only,
like you said with Magic,
incurable in Africa. It's only incurable.
Magic is the first dude I saw to contract HIV and gain like 110 pounds.
He got bet off game.
Yeah, how you do that? Like my man Andrew Beckett looked like a leper by the time he was a couple years in. Magic, I don't know. I saw that and I just thought it was ironic because select few. And they made sure at the end of the report to say the pharmaceutical company who made this trial drug has run out of the drug. So they, because they don't want people running back like, well, we need some more. And we ain't got no more. That's crazy, man.
Where's the drug made out of?
Exactly. Like, come on, man. We ran out.
Is it harvested out of unicorn horns and stuff? Like, what do you mean you ran out of the drug? Like, if it's effective, why can't they just start reproducing it? Like,
exactly.
Does it take 20 years to incubate?
They like, look,
come on, man.
That drug's not over here, so there's no money to be made from it. So we're not giving this out for free to the Africans. They can't afford it.
Yeah, it's too good. It actually cured Ebola. They just want to,
tell
that
to real talk, too. They're like, we're not giving it out for free. We can't get our drug deal on.
Come on.
Exactly. All right, so the last thing that happened this week while y'all were on the grind, well, it's going on. It's a decision that Kevin Durant needs to make. Actually, I think the ball is in Nike's court right now because we reported a few weeks ago how Kevin Durant was getting this $300 million contract offer from Under Armour. It turns out the deal is between $265 and $285. I mean, I'm not crying for him on a couple dollars lost, but $265 to $285 million over 10 years. The deal includes Under Armour stock and other incentives. They're going to build a community center in his mother's name, all kinds of stuff. So in his Nike contract, his contract was basically like being a restricted free agent. If anybody else offers him something once the contract is up, Nike has the opportunity to match it. Do you think, guys, that there is any way whatsoever that Nike will match such a lucrative contract? Before you guys answer, let me let you know that Nike saw it. They said they saw its business related to Kevin Durant grow roughly $175 million at the last retail season. So they've made some money off this kid, but is it worth the kind of investment that Under Armour is doing?
This is a great question, and we touched on it a little bit last week or in previous shows. The contract that they have, and it's good to make the juxtaposition between, I'll be getting my SAT word on, between an actual basketball contract or professional sports contract and these endorsement deals, because if you look at it, you can consider his initial deal with Nike like a rookie deal because it was lightweight. It was like 50 to 60 million, something paying him the equivalent of about $4 to $5 million a year. Now this deal will pay him in the $20 to $25 million a year stratosphere, maybe even a little higher. And so Nike's got to ask themselves, how much more market share can we grab with Kevin Durant if we're already at $175 million, and how much longer is he going to have that brand appeal? So it's really a question of the upfront investment versus the long-term return, as well as the overall marginal return on a year-over-year basis. I don't know. I know that
he said all that to say, I don't know.
I know his product. I don't know, man. I know his product. His product,
Excel
when
spreadsheet.
you compare it to Nike's top,
I said, pull out your Excel spreadsheet, do the
Brand
analysis,
Brand Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, and I think those are the top three. And him, he would be the top. He would be the fourth in no particular order. I don't know what his growth potential is. If I'm Nike, I don't think I would do it. I don't think I would do it.
Hank? What do you think, Ryan?
My initial thought when I heard that was absolutely no way I would do it. But when they released the numbers that he did $173 million in retail this year, I mean, he's doing some serious numbers. And I'm not a huge sneakerhead, so I talked to a couple of people who are into sneakers, and they've been telling me that the KDs have really been, as far as the designs of them and the popularity, they've really been stepping up in the last couple of years. So I mean, it's something Nike has to consider, and they also have to think about, do they need to keep their foot on Under Armour's neck? I mean, if they give, because I think this, obviously by the numbers that they're putting out, this is way more important to Under Armour and their future and the way that they see their sneaker, line of business growing. So do you squash them right now and don't allow them to have somebody who could possibly, be that superstar that can really eat away at some of your sneaker, revenue? So it may be something that you take out the competition by keeping KD close. And, I mean, the numbers probably aren't that far off. They would probably still turn a profit, you know, a considerable profit with signing him to this deal. So,
right.
Mikey, I might do it.
The other variables that you have to think about, of course, B. Austin kind of named their top dogs. Like, you give Kevin Durant that type of money while LeBron is still in the stable, like, are they going to have to rip up the contract and renegotiate immediately? Or you know, LeBron going to wait it out? Because there's no way he's going to let anybody except for Michael Jordan be a higher earner than him at Nike right now. So, or maybe, you know, Tiger Woods.
You made a great point. I didn't even think about that. And we know Raymond.
You pay him.
Raymond looks at that business. So, if the minute you make KD the top paid dude at Nike, the minute the ink dries, you're getting that phone call from Maverick and you're getting that visit next week from LeBron.
I mean, well, you know how Maverick is. They have proven to be a step ahead when they're thinking. So Maverick and them probably went in and helped Rock Nation negotiate this offer with Under Armour, so they can step the ante
so they can get a little bit more change.
Yeah.
A little bit more change.
You know,
I guess
either he's gonna leave.
Even if he signs for Under Armour, they still got to re-up. They still got to renegotiate with LeBron.
Right.
It doesn't matter
Exactly.
who gives them the money.
Exactly.
LeBron's going to say, "I need more than that."
Exactly, because that's just like, you know, those two guys playing for totally different teams. But if you're gonna pay Durant $30 million, then you got to pay me $35.
I need $35.
So. Exactly.
And rightfully so.
I don't know. Y'all are definitely right. I don't know. It's like they've grown Durant to $175 million a year, paying him $6 million against a $6 million cost, right? So now, how much higher can they grow him? Can he go to 200? Can he go to 250? Can he go to 300? You know, and when you start talking about that number, so above that quarter billion, that means you've accessed the Chinese market. And even as much as they hate on Kobe, domestically, it's iffy as to how strong he is here. Yo, the Chinaman only buys Kobe. They're not interested in LeBron. They're not interested in KD. Yo, it's all about Kobe Bryant in the land of the dragon. They all just
turn their radios off. All right, because we should have Fred Perdue of Heavy in the Games with us in a few minutes to talk a little bit of college football. He's doing his last conference preview, which is the Pac-12, and he's going to give us his predictions on the playoffs, which is the first ever playoff in Division I college football. But before we do that, I'm going to let everybody know how they can get in touch with us when they need to get in touch with us. Y'all know the deal. Y'all can check out our website at warroomsports.com. Wait, before I do this, I got to give some birthday shout-outs real quick. Almost forgot to do that. My bad. Some people out there having birthdays, and they almost got dissed. All right, birthdays, real quick, everybody, is brought to you by Digital Extreme Technologies. Does your business need a new custom website? Well, for dynamic, professional, and most of all, affordable custom website solutions, you need Digital Extreme Technologies. I sound like Martin. No need to break the bank for an effective online presence. Top-quality, results-driven websites at incredibly affordable prices. Financing options are available. Visit digitalextremetech.com or call 267-205-4203. And for discounted rates, be sure to tell them that War Room Sports sent you. All right, having birthdays today in the world of sports. Baseball star B.J. Upton, one of the Upton brothers for the Braves. He turns 30. Jim McMahon, former Chicago Bears Super Bowl quarterback, turns 55. Jim McMahon back in the day was such a wild dude. Like, I never could picture him getting old, but Jim McMahon getting up there, brother.
It's hard to, because he played quarterback kind of like a middle linebacker. Like, Jim McMahon probably really wasn't that good, but because of his willingness to do nutty stuff on the field,
he was tough
and all, and take the type of punishment he took, we probably overrate him as far as how good he was. Because I know I really liked Jim McMahon, but then when I look back at him, I'm like, he wasn't really that good.
Yeah, it was his toughness, and he played for a hell of a team, so that helps you as well. Archie Griffin, the first and only two-time Heisman winner, turned 60, and we got a couple of rest in peace shout-out. The great Wilt Chamberlain, the Big Dipper, was born August 21st, 1936, died October 12th, 1999. Rest in peace, Dipper. Jack Buck, great broadcaster, Joe Buck's father. He was born August 21st, 1924, died June 18th, 2002. So we'd like to give all of these fellas a nice War Room salute on their birthday.
No human being can do that.
I just want to say shout out to my aunt Noni, man, because she went to high school with Wilt Chamberlain. So I always like to believe she was one of the early numbers. You know, somewhere in the
All right, man. And with that, before we get Fred on the line to talk college football, you guys can check out our website at warroomsports.com while you're there. Be sure to sign up for the War Report. That's our weekly newsletter. Click on the Contact Us tab to send us a message about the company, the show, or to inquire about sponsorship and advertising opportunities. For general inquiries, just shoot us an email, info@warroomsports.com. While you're browsing the site, click on the Memorabilia tab, buy some War Room Sports merchandise, support the brothers. Click the Blog tab to read our latest sports articles in the All's Fair in Sports and More blog. Then you can click the respective icons and tabs to like our Facebook page where we talk sports every day. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to our iTunes podcast. Watch our videos at warroomsportstv.com to subscribe to to listen to the network shows on WRSPN.com and to download our free War Room Sports mobile app to get everything I just mentioned all in one place right on your phone. So join the JW Philly Realty chat room right now during the show at blogtalkradio.com/thewarroom. To enter the chat room, just sign up for a free profile on Blog Talk Radio. If you don't want to do that, you can sign in through your Facebook or Twitter accounts. We know you have those. And while you're there, just click follow so you can get updates and reminders about the show. We'll be taking questions and reading posts from Facebook, Twitter, and the chat room during the show. To call in and speak with us, just dial the Digital Extreme Tech hotline at 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to talk. But all those instructions I just gave you about calling in, don't do it right now because we got Fred Perdue of Heavy in the Games on the line with us to talk a little college football. Fred, what's going on, man?
How you guys doing?
Good. We're chilling, man. Just talking about
Zach Randolph still trying to go left.
Yo, you're never gonna live that down, man. Never ever.
I see that.
B. Alton's never gonna let you live that down. All right, man. I know you. I know you were coming on to talk to give us your Pac-12 preview and prediction, and your prediction about the playoffs. But I want to give you a chance if you need it to get a do-over of the Big Ten now that Braxton Miller is gone for the season. Do you want to change anything about your picks, or do you still think Ohio State's still going to slaughter the conference?
Well, I think with the injury to Braxton Miller, I think there will be a bit of a revision to that. J.T. Barrett, a redshirt freshman from Texas, 4-star recruit. He's from all accounts, he's a pretty good quarterback, but it's very tough to come in with zero experience. 1 year after an ACL tear, actually 2 years after an ACL tear, going into 5 games into his senior year. That's going to be a lot to overcome. Their defense is going to be good in Ohio State, but with Michigan State in the division, I really see that this team in Michigan State, with all the weapons they still have on offense, Connor Cook coming back, their defense was going to get better throughout the year. They may struggle against Oregon, and that may hurt them, but it's not a conference loss, so it won't really hurt them in the grand scheme of things of possibly making a Rose Bowl, and they may see Oregon again playing in the Rose Bowl. So I have to, with that being said, I have to take
you got to get your John Kerry. You got to get your John Kerry on and flip flop. I understand.
Not your fault this time.
And for me, it was splitting hairs.
Fred, one thing I want to point out though is the gentleman that you have coming in as the redshirt freshman to start. He can at least throw the ball, and that's something that Braxton Miller couldn't do.
And I can't. The thing about that with me is we haven't seen him in a live game. He can throw the ball in practice. It's great in practice. I know you guys have that sound. Practice, that's great. Practice. But we haven't seen him go up against the big boys. We haven't seen him go up against.
Braxton couldn't throw it in a game.
This is true. Braxton.
This is college, though. B. Austin. Tim Tebow was the greatest quarterback ever. So what does that mean?
Yo, stop blaspheming. All talk about Godson.
That leads me to a point I said about Urban Meyer. Everyone says he's a great quarterback coach, and I say to myself, where was he a great quarterback coach? Chris Leak, Tim Tebow, John Brantley, Tyler Murphy. I don't see it. I don't see where he was a great quarterback coach. Urban Meyer's specialty is special teams and defense, and his quarterbacks run an option offense, and they're going to run the football. Don't get me wrong. They will run the football. But eventually you're going to have to throw the ball, and they don't have Kenny Guyton. Boy, do they say they had a Kenny Guyton in the wings waiting one more time. But they don't have a Kenny Guyton back there to bail them out this year. So Ohio State it was like split hairs for me to pick Ohio State in the beginning. But now I really can't take Ohio State because you're going to have to throw the ball at least at some point for these teams, especially in the.
All right, so you changing that to Michigan State, you said?
Yes, Michigan State will meet Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship.
All right, well, tell us what's going on in the Pac-12.
The Pac-12, this conference is loaded from top to bottom. This is the conference that may rival the SEC. They're in my opinion, as far as college talent, college top to bottom, they are the second best conference. As far as putting NFL talent into the NFL, they're the third or fourth best conference. The ACC is far and away number 2, believe it or not. But with this conference, you have Oregon at the top. The Ducks bring back Marcus Mariota, the leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy, possibly a number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft in 2015. You have a defense that returns Tony Washington, their top sack artist, a guy by the name of Ifo Ekpe-Olumu, their top corner, who's going to be a top first-round type corner as well. Really good press corner, really good speed. He's going to be their lockdown defender. Don't worry about the names. Just call him IEO. That's what I've done. I don't even try. I just go with IEO. But Oregon, they're going to run that fast tempo offense, and the one thing I will say, they don't have the playmakers that they have had in recent years with DeAnthony Thomas, Josh Huff, LaMichael James, and guys like that. They don't have those type of guys, but they do bring back Byron Marshall, their top rusher. They bring back Bray Addison, a very quick guy that can be a very good slot receiver as well. They don't really throw the ball down the field a lot. Down the sidelines. They use the middle of the field, and they use their tempo to beat you. I see Oregon really only struggling with 2 games. September, in September, they actually, second week of the season, they go up against Michigan State. I think they're going to handle Michigan State's defense pretty well. Michigan State is a physical defense, and that's what Oregon struggles with. But I really think that game won't be too bad for them. But the meeting on October 11th at UCLA is going to be an issue. You have Brett Hundley, who is one of those top quarterbacks that returns in the Big 12 and UCLA, and as well as Stanford team with Kevin Hogan, who I've slowly given up on. At one point I called him Andrew Luck light, and he's vastly regressed over the last 2 years. His release is very long. His accuracy hasn't been there. Hopefully David Shaw can bring him back and revive his career, but he's no longer Andrew Luck light. He's not even in that same discussion. Some of the other quarterbacks in this conference that will really make you impress you. Sean Mannion from Oregon State. Mike Riley has a former Alabama Crimson Tide player under Bear Bryant has really kept this team afloat. They don't get the fruit, but they do get a good quarterback every couple of years, and Sean Mannion is that senior leader who can throw the ball down the field and also is very accurate, very strong arm. You also have Travis Wilson, who ended up having to be in a quarterback battle with Oklahoma transfer Kendall Thompson, who was one of the top quarterbacks coming out of high school. Travis Wilson is a good dual threat quarterback. Utah won't do much in the conference, but behind him they will at least make a bowl game. The Pac-12 is loaded. The Pac-12 is loaded, and I have right now my offensive player of the year is going to go to Marcus Mariota. My defensive player of the year, I haven't really settled on that. That's going to be very tough. But if you just made me pick, I have to take Miles Jack, the dual threat guy who plays running back and linebacker, going both.
I ain't making you. You still got some time left.
I really have. That's a name that really is going to be even more publicized simply because he plays both ways. He's going to get a lot of goal line carries. Miles Jack's name, if you don't know it right now, you will get to know it. He had a big year his freshman year. This year is going to be another big year. Very good tackler. Very good tackler. Reminds me a little bit of a Patrick Willis type of linebacker. He isn't as fast, but he's a very good tackler, and that's what you want covering the middle of the field. But for my conference championship game, I actually have Oregon going up against UCLA. Oregon going up against Stanford for the North, and UCLA actually coming out of the South to ultimately be Oregon UCLA in the conference title game, with Oregon winning and solidifying their spot in the college football playoff.
Okay, so what's going to happen once these playoffs start?
This year is going to be very, very different because you necessarily don't have, just because you have a number next to your name doesn't necessarily mean you'll be in it. The polls mean very little. The committee isn't going to take that into consideration as much, and a lot of the different people on this panel, they're not going to be able to vote for certain teams because they either had some connection to the team, coached the team, was a donor, an alumni, or whatever their situation was. So you're going to have a lot of varying opinions. I honestly think you're going to have four teams, including Alabama from the SEC, Florida State coming out of the ACC due to their schedule. Coming out of the Pac-12, you have Oregon coming out of the Pac-12, and that fourth team is just going to be so hard because it's so wide open this year, and you're going to have someone's going to get left out, and there's going to be possibly another team from another conference. And with that being said, I think I really could see if Michigan State could run the gauntlet, even losing that first game to a Oregon team early, I think they could possibly make it due to their schedule. Oregon is a tough team in itself, and Michigan State having to go through that gauntlet that is the Big 12 East, no longer the leaders in Legends division. I could see Michigan State being in that top four.
Okay, all right. I guess we can. You want to give your predictions for the whole thing next week, or
yeah. I don't feel comfortable giving that to you yet.
That's cool.
Still, give me a little minute on that one.
All right, well, we'll definitely do that because it's no rush. You're on with us every week, so let everybody know where they can find you on the internet.
You can reach me on Twitter at FPurdueSports, and you can also reach me on the net at HeavyInTheGames.com. Got a big announcement coming in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned to that. I can't really give no real big clues to it, but just stay tuned.
just threw the teaser out there. I feel you. All right, man. We'll be talking with you again next week.
All right, guys. All
right. Thanks, Fred.
All right. Bye.
All right, that's Fred Purdue of HeavyInTheGames.com, everybody. If you need college football information, he is the guy to go to. He lives it, breathes it, eats it, and does other stuff with it. But that's the guy to go to, Fred Perdue. All right, fellas.
I respect
let's
his dedication.
I know.
I respect his dedication to college because I can't do it, man.
It's too many teams.
I kind of follow my Maryland Terps, but I can't even name 5 players on their roster. So.
Why you do that?
Because they hit.
I'm Terp, baby.
Well, Austin, what that mean? Austin, he Bison.
What that mean? I'm a Bison.
Don't know one player.
Him. I played for him. I don't follow him.
Can you name one player on the Bison? As a matter of fact,
no.
B. Austin, we can't just say Bison because people have no clue what we're talking about.
There's
talking
like
about
3
the Howard
other
Bison. And when we say Howard Bisons, except for our brothers and sisters out there, people still don't know what we're talking about.
And then look, then people gonna call in and say, Howard University, there's a Bison. They are.
Shout out to the MEAC, man. The MEAC never get love. We keep telling Fred that, man. Give the MEAC some love.
Yo,
but not really.
Are y'all eligible for the playoffs?
Yeah. Like 2 dudes per year, maybe. Out of the whole conference. But shout out to the MEAC, man. All right, look, man. Hot topics brought to y'all by Audible. If your schedule is too hectic to read as much as you want, some of y'all don't read anyway, just try audiobooks and kick back and let someone else do the reading for you. All you got to do is visit Audible and sign up for a free trial at audibletrial.com/warroomsports. That means your first book will be free, so you get to try out the situation, see if you like it. In no time, you can be listening to the latest bestsellers, hands-free, stress-free, while getting other things done at the very same time. And I know for a fact that they got that Harry Potter collection. So, Floyd, what's up, man? Audible. You get the Audible joint, and you could just show 50 up. I ain't got to read. Somebody else read it for me. All right, look, real quick baseball note. We're in the area, so we had to mention it a little bit. The Washington Nationals are on fire right now. 9-game winning streak. They lead the Braves in the NL East by 7 games now. First of all, any chance that the Braves are going to catch the Nationals? Because I see a lot of people out there who don't trust the Nationals on this level yet, and they're still saying, well, it's not over yet. They still got to, the Braves still could catch them. I don't think the Braves are going to catch them unless they go on the same type of losing streak, that's similar to the winning streak that they're on right now. I don't see the Braves catching this team. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't see the Braves catching up, and living here in the Washington D.C. area is hell. It's hell on my eardrums because I have to hear how great the Montreal Expos are. I just want them to go back to their old name and be respectful of Montreal and take that name and moniker back. But it is an impressive winning streak, very impressive. With the injuries they have too.
And they have the best record in the National League right now. I've always the Nationals were that team with the talent. They were supposed to start this type of run maybe 2 years ago and 2-3 years ago, and I understood at that time that okay, the talent is there, but they may not exactly be ready yet. I think this is the year, when they actually make that step.
Ready.
Once they get, into the postseason, I'm still not sure about them. It's levels to this. There's steps to this. Once they get in there, of course, we know anything can happen, but I just don't know how it's going to turn out. But, it's interesting. This team has the potential to be a World Series team, but that's one of those things. A long time ago, in the beginning of the season, I would give you, okay, the Nationals are finally going to break through and make the playoffs. They made it once in the last few years, but they were supposed to be that team to take the division and start to dominate it, kind of like the Phillies did, during their run when they went to the World Series a few years in a row. But they weren't there yet. Now I think, they're a legitimate playoff team, a legitimate World Series contender, but that's still like a, wait and see. I won't believe that.
If they are who we thought they were. That's what we supposed to do in Juno. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were.
Okay. He angry? Hank, you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, man. They are who we thought they were. Dev, you were saying this 3 years ago. Give them some time because they do have a hell of a talent pool. Hank, I don't know. Hank, are you a baseball fan?
I mean, I'm a Phillies fan, so I've been keeping my eyes on that.
Okay, so you're like, you're like me. Yeah. I only follow baseball as it relates to the Phillies, so I be fronting on here, and enough of our listeners know that I don't know a damn thing about baseball. But I will tell you that Bryce Harper, he is everything I thought he was times 2.
Yeah,
he is nice. That young boy, nice, man.
They remind me of the Phillies. How the Phillies were so bad for so many years that they just ended up getting so many high prospects, and then eventually it just all came together where,
homegrown.
We just had so much talent. Exactly, all that homegrown talent. But I think the fact that we're even having this discussion, the fact that we've been having this discussion about if Atlanta can still catch them is a problem, and it highlights what's wrong with baseball, that the season is just too long. We're pushing on September, and we're wondering if the team that's 7 games behind has a chance of catching the first place team. Like, come on, man. Baseball should not be a 900-game season. Like, they really need to consider cutting down the number of games to make it interesting. Like, it's the point where you shouldn't even pay attention to baseball until mid-September nowadays.
Right. That is an interesting point.
It's terrible.
That's an interesting point, that you can be 7 games behind damn near in September and people are still wondering if you can catch the first place team. But yeah, the Orioles, speaking of this area, the Orioles are playing lights out as well. I mean, you could possibly have a BW Parkway World Series, but when you start to hype that kind of stuff up is when it doesn't happen. So we'll just sit back and wait and see what happens. Just wanted to give the Nats a little shout out because, like I said, they are finally playing how people thought. That's the luxury that you don't get in this particular area when it comes to sports fans. Like, when you're supposed to be good, like, their fans just quickly believe. They all buy in so fast. And, the Redskins, I don't even like to use that word anymore. The Washington football team, won the division, squeaked in, a few 2 seasons ago at 10-6, and every single Washington fan I know took that as the cue that this team was going to dominate the NFC East for the next 10 years. Never mind that we had to go on a miraculous 7-game winning streak to do this. Never mind we started 3-6. I'm only looking at the positive, and this 10-6 playoff run means that we're going to dominate this division for the next 10 years. So when the Nats were supposed to be this team a few seasons ago, all the new baseball fans who didn't really know much about baseball, they were jumping on the wagon for a little while, and it was Nationals this, Nationals that. Didn't happen. They forgot about them. Now everybody's back. But, the team is definitely playing lights out. So shout out to the Nats. Speaking of baseball, though, man, the Little League World Series is getting a lot of attention. They had 2 teams in there, that we talked about for the past few weeks on the show. Of course, the team in Chicago, which is basically an all-black team. And then you have the team from Philadelphia with the female pitcher, Monet Davis, who is now the cover girl on Sports Illustrated cover. Do you guys think that, it's an every year thing, so it's not just this year, but now that they have some actual stories that get people watching more than they've ever watched before, because the ratings for last night's game with Monet Davis on the mound were crazy. They were beating, like, Major League baseball games out. But do you guys think that these kids are being exploited, like, in a negative way? Do you think this is the kind of publicity they should get? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because that's been the conversation around this. Like, are these kids being exploited? Is this overexposure?
I think they are being a little overexposed, but unfortunately, the context surrounding that's the nature of the beast in the society we live in. I don't think that at this point it's kind of some outlier that's, ooh, this is a shame or this is terrible what they're doing. They're getting they're just proper and due for the hard work that they put in. And it's nice to see baseball as a sport getting some accolades and some attention at that level, because it is, people don't like when I say this, but I feel as though baseball is a dying sport. And so this is maybe going to put some wind in the sails, a jolt in the heart, some electricity from the thing they put on your chest and go clear, so that's how I look at it. This is a positive.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say it's dying. I mean, their attendance and revenue would say otherwise, but I mean, I see where you're going with that, because it's no longer America's pastime. Like, it's been long surpassed for that particular title. And one thing that could be a positive from this, now I'm not talking about the media exploitation right now, or the anybody else who's going to try to gain some kind of attention off giving attention to players like Mo'ne Davis. But I do think the MLB should actually, try to capitalize on this somehow, because we all know that the percentage of players in Major League Baseball, the percentage of black players have been dwindling. This was what did we say last week, B. Austin? This was like the 67th anniversary of the whole Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in baseball, and like percentage is down to like 8.5% black. So like with a team like the one from Chicago, and then
by the way things are trending, they're gonna need to resurrect Jackie Robinson and Brickhead Young again.
Yeah, no, but if MLB has some kind of you're stupid, man.
I think Satchel Paige is still alive, man. He's still got a slider in him.
If they found a way to, capitalize off the attention that this year's tournament is getting, and try to make some kind of campaign to allow black kids to see other black kids out there, then I'm definitely fine with that, because you got to try to get those numbers back up in the sports. But a 12-year-old girl on the cover of Sports Illustrated for a sport that she's not going to be able to advance in too much after Little League, that's a little iffy for me. What do you think, Hank?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely being exploited, but I appreciate it in some ways, because, as B. Austin identified, about me earlier, I am a bandwagon sports person when it comes to these, sports like baseball and World Series, Little League. So I absolutely wouldn't be paying any attention to this if the media coverage hadn't been so heavy about, Lil Shorty Mo'ne and about the New York team. And, I mean, yesterday was the first time I actually sat there and watched a full game, which was disappointing to me, because, she just kind of got knocked out. And I felt the type of way, because there was all these real big white boys just, knocking all her balls out the park and all. It's like I felt like there was racism somewhere in it, but I couldn't really pinpoint it. But like my racism alarm went up, like that they were saying something under their breath. So I mean, maybe I could be wrong, but racism alarm is usually right.
You know what though? They hyped her, because I think she was at the peak of the hype up yesterday, and they did that against the wrong team, because from the little I've watched of the Little League World Series, I've realized that the Nevada team are like the baby Monstars, like from Space Jam.
Yeah.
And they have like some dudes out there who look like they can line up in the major league lineup right now. And I just think no matter
like
which
NFL players,
no matter which she went out there and did
yesterday, they don't
yesterday,
check the birth certificate.
Yeah, she wasn't going to be able to shut those guys down. So I think she got hyped up at the wrong time.
Yeah, they were averaging, 12, 13 runs a game in that series. So, yeah, she wasn't going to be able to shut them down. But I do want Mo'ne to do one thing for me. I need her to ask her mom if she used to hang out at Fridays on City Line Avenue, like around 2000.
On the Allen Iverson era?
Yeah, because if you look real close, Mo'ne Davis looks a lot like Allen Iverson in the face. So she needs to just check that.
That's a possibility if your mom was hanging out at Fridays around that time, you could possibly be Allen Iverson's son or daughter. If you're not sure, you better check. Yeah, so it's been the conversation going around though, like how much exposure is too much when it comes to Little League, and when I, like what I mentioned before though, this, especially in Monet Davis's case, this is a sport that she's not going to be able to advance in. However, she has, since she's being interviewed and there's always cameras and microphones in her face, she's put out there that her dream is to play point guard for Connecticut Huskies. So, hey, if the exposure, I don't know if she's that good. I hear she's very good. But even if she's not, her exposure might be enough to get her, a spot on the Huskies when she's old enough. She might be on the bench.
Yeah, Gino's knocking on her door right now. The second he heard that, Gino was already there with that offer.
Gino I don't have to recruit. She wants to come. Let me go make that happen for her. So yeah. We'll see how it goes. They're playing the Chicago team, the all-black team, tonight actually, and that team is athletic as hell, and even they got shellacked by this Nevada Major League team that they played last night. So we'll see this matchup because these are the two most publicized teams in the tournament this year because of obvious reasons. So that should be a ratings bonanza as well.
Mm-hmm. So what they trying to tell us is that the only way in which we can advance is by black-on-black violence. See?
I knew they were going to somehow. I didn't even see the brackets or anything, but I was telling Jimmy the other day, I'm like, they're going to find some way for these two teams to play against each other so one can knock the other team out because there's no way they're going to allow both of them, to move that far in the tournament. But hey, I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
That would be un-American.
Yeah, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, though. All right, so, yeah, hopefully MLB can capitalize in a positive way and get more, young black boys playing baseball. Got a question for you guys. A few proclamations have been made by NBA players in the past few days, and a few people that we talk to on our social media sites are basically saying, as a result of what some players are saying, they think the NBA drug testing policy should be a little more stringent. And these comments that I'm referring to is the one last week from Steph Curry when he said he's a better offensive player than LeBron James. And then you had James Harden this week saying that he's the best basketball player on the planet, bar none. So I know I don't have to ask this first question, but I'll do it anyway, make it formal. Do you guys agree with either? Well, I'm the first one, it might be debatable. I'm pretty sure you guys don't agree. Agree on the James Harden point. But let's start with Steph Curry because we didn't get to talk about that last week. Steph Curry as a better offensive player than LeBron James. Can somebody make a case for that?
No.
Yes.
Not at all.
Oh,
no. He's a better shooter.
We got opposing views here.
He is a better shooter. He's a better shooter than LeBron James. He is. But the fact that he thinks that is what offense is highlights why he's not a better offensive player. There's more to the game than just shooting. LeBron is a better passer. LeBron can dribble better. LeBron's a better post player. LeBron's a better offensive rebounder. LeBron can do so many more things just on offense on the court than Steph Curry can do. It's not even close. The only thing Steph can do better than LeBron is shoot the basketball. That's it.
Let me try to break it down into components because if you're just looking at it just purely
Steph does
like
a
I don't
more than shoot.
I'm thinking like it kind of depends on how you look at it because you could break it down into just components of the game like shooting, dribbling. Because I'd venture to say Steph Curry has a better handle than LeBron James. He's a better shooter from the outside than LeBron James. Passing, I would say LeBron was a better passer, but then you'd have those stat, the stats are the Bible type guys who will point out to you that Steph Curry averaged more assists than LeBron last season. I don't really believe in the numbers don't lie type of thing. I think I would still take LeBron as a better passer than Steph Curry. Post game,
I think that's strictly a matter of size because actually I think post game is the only weakness left in LeBron's game. But, you know, if you're going to ask me which one of these two guys are you going to throw it down there to, that's a no-brainer. What else is there? B. Austin, throw some stuff in there because you quickly said. Yeah, see, and that's a different beast as well. Like I think Steph Curry has a better handle.
No Sam, no Collins, and pick and roll. In today's NBA, if you're going to weigh a player's value, you have to look at his value off of pick and roll situations and floor spacing. I think that when someone says that all Steph Curry does, and I'm not saying that's you, Hank, or my passive aggressive, but when someone says that all you do is shoot jumpers, that's doing an extreme disservice to Steph's game, and B, I question whether they watch Golden State Warriors games because while he is his daddy's son in terms of shooting, if you look at the overall offensive game, he was better than Del Curry in ninth grade. He can get to the rack. He finishes over the top amazingly for a guy who's not the top premier athlete. You know, he's not a super athlete, obviously. He's not on LeBron's level athletically, but he goes to the rack surprisingly, with surprising frequency for someone that small and someone who's not going to flush it on him. He knows how to contort his body. He uses angles off the glass well. I think that he is in a situation where with the other offensive weapons that they have in Golden State, that affects his production in terms of volume shooting. You got Klay Thompson, who could put up 20 on almost any given night. You've got David Lee, 20 on any given night. You've got the center Bogut, 18 to 20 on any given night. Harrison Barnes off the bench. So they're surrounded by a lot of shooters, which enables him to display his other offensive abilities, which is passing out of the pick and roll. They space with a lot of shooters in Golden State. So, everyone is afraid of Steph jumper, whether it's off the dribble or stationary. When he's coming off pick and rolls, he's finding guys. He's finding cutters. He's hitting, and in that capacity, man, he's deadly. And I'm not as afraid of LeBron James off of a screen and roll because I know what he's doing, and I'm backing up. Yeah, he can get hot, and if he gets hot, I'm going to, I'll die with it. But I'm not as afraid of him coming off and pulling up as I am him coming off and driving to the basket or him coming off driving and kicking. So there's three things that I look for with Steph off of a pick and roll situation as opposed to two with LeBron. And post work, Dev, I'm just so disappointed in LeBron's footwork and post game that I can't say it's a strength. Like I know that he's 6'9" and 2 million pounds, but because he I can't give him a plus. I'm gonna say they're tied there. They're about equal.
Come on. You're so disappointed. You're gonna call it a wash.
No, I just have to clarify. I don't think all Steph does is shoot. I just think that LeBron does all those other things better than him. And you have to take into account that LeBron focuses on both ends of the floor a lot more than Steph. So I think if LeBron's sole job,
offense.
I know, but listen to me. I think if LeBron's sole purpose was to go out there and create offense for his team, he could average close to 35, 36 points a game, if that's all he wanted to do. Whereas I feel that's what Steph's job is on his team, is to create offense either by himself or with his other teams. You don't look to Steph to do anything on defense for you.
Yeah, he's defensively. Now, if we start talking defense, he's incapable of stopping anyone that's on this program right now. He's a Steve Nash. Like, he's terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
So
that's why I think your defense does play into your offense. Because, if LeBron's not tired from chasing around the best player, whether it's a point guard or a power forward, and he's just sitting there focusing on getting buckets, he can get a bucket almost every time down the court.
Yeah.
Well, the homie Skyview in the chat room was saying when Steph Curry is on the bench, Golden State is business as usual. When LeBron sits, not so much. I've kind of replied to him, that's not really the argument, though, that we're having. Nobody's debating whether Steph Curry's a better player than LeBron.
Yeah.
It's offense that we're talking about. And a lot of people, I think, when we threw that out to social media, I think a lot of people just took it, the wrong way immediately and was like, oh, man, these dudes crazy. They drunk, blah, blah, blah. Now, my point of view on the whole thing, I would still take LeBron as the better offensive player, but I think the concept is debatable, and I don't think it's a ridiculous notion if somebody was to make those points and say that Steph Curry was better, because I think he is a whole lot more offensively than a lot of people give him credit for. But I would still say, LeBron James. If you ask me, you got a game to go out there and, this dude got to make it happen on offense, I'm going to take LeBron. But I really don't think it's a ridiculous notion. What I do think is a ridiculous notion is that if I can borrow a term from Michael Jordan from back in like 99, 2000 when he was talking about Vince Carter, the criminally negligent on the defensive end, James Harden, saying that he's the best player on the planet. Okay, I get it. What is he supposed to say? Yeah, I get all of that. Right. But at some point, you got to be real with yourself, dog. You have to you have to try to do something on the other end of the court if you want your name to eventually, and you're talented enough to have your name mentioned. Since you're a young dude and you still have a lot of time, he's talented enough to have his name mentioned with the best, that's been in the game in the past decade or so. But come on, man, like the stuff that you see this dude do on defense. I gotta
speak up first on this one, and first I gotta explain to our brother Hank, since he's not on the show, I am a James Harden apologist, and at every turn, he will let you down if you're a part of his apology crew, because, on defense, the difference between him and Vince Carter is Vince Carter is a coward. I think that James Harden is stupid. Like, if you watch him, James Harden, he's just stupid. Like,
so you're saying Vince could have been a good defender. He was just cowardly and had no interest.
Vince was a coward. And I'm going to tell you how, I'll real quick. If you go back to Jersey, when they had Richard Jefferson, Jason Kidd, and Vince Carter on the perimeter, there were times when Jason Kidd, even in advanced age, he was still a premier, perimeter player at that point, but he was older than them dudes. They would still have to put Jason Kidd or Richard Jefferson on the top two scorers, and they would put Vince Carter over on the corner on somebody sitting in the bench because of his cowardice. He was a coward. Now, if you watch the Beard, Harden, he's not that bad on the ball, but in an NBA game, how often is a shooting guard going to be caught out on the ball up top? So with all of the movement, all of the screens, all of the reversing of the ball, dude stands there like an idiot and just watches one person or watches the ball. It's like he can't do more than one thing at a time on defense. It's all intelligence, which he completely
It's like
lacks.
when he's on the defensive end, he loses all knowledge of the notion of ball movement. Like he just thinks his man is just going to camp out in the corner the whole time. If he runs across the baseline, James Harden is still standing like his man is in the corner.
Yo, his man, they showed a play where his man went to 4 different places on the court, and he stood there at the elbow. He never moved, and he didn't know where his man was. He didn't know. He had so he's an idiot. Offensively, I can again, just like Steph, I can make a case for him because there really isn't anything he can't do offensively, but his defense is at a minus 11, and it's even worse than like a Steph or a Steve Nash because physically there's no reason for it. Like these guys, some of these dudes, if you stand next to Steve Nash, you're like, all right, I get it, I understand. Like James Harden is a big, Gilbert Arenas size, little bit bigger type dude. Like there's no reason for him to be that. to turn into a Down syndrome dude on defense. Like he just
now
the
fact
he's
that
out of control.
He got quirky
the fact that it just doesn't catastrophically hurt his team, is that because right now the NBA there aren't a bunch of quality two guards in the league? Does it have something to do with that? Because I'm thinking,
no,
even in my opinion,
it's because he's so good on offense that it doesn't catastrophically hurt his team. That he
cancels out anything that happens.
Exactly. It's just even because he's going to drop 30, and his man is going to drop 27, 28. Like, so he looks like he's a pretty good player, but
a part of it is that, but the other thing is, whoever the weak man is, that's who Mikal puts him on. Like, he'll put him on like Reggie Evans. Like, it doesn't matter what the position is. Yo, you just go find whoever can't play. Yo, go.
Whoever's not going to move much.
Just go.
Just chill.
And
if they throw it in the post, y'all just switch off real quick.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and that's my man. Like, I see a lot of potential in him. I root for him when they play the Heat. I want him to give it to Dwayne Wade. But dude is retarded on defense, man. I know we're going to get slanted. Yo, he is.
Is there any way that he can overcome this, or is this forever?
Can he
has to, man.
That's my thing. It's mental. It's mental. So it's really, I refuse to believe that he's that stupid. So I think that at some point he will improve to a serviceable defender, because he wants to be good and he wants his name mentioned, and that's kind of the next step. There's 2 steps he has to take. He's got to become serviceable on defense and get to a point where pride makes him a better defender, and then he's got to show up in big moments. He's a kid, and if you notice
shrinks a little bit
big
in
moments
playoffs
where he disappears, his concentration is off. His concentration. First of all, I don't want to put anything disparaging on the young man out there, but when he's in these NBA games, he throws gang signs. And if you notice, gentlemen in the front, on court side with red clothing on, he gravitates to guys in red clothing. So you take from that what you will, and what I'm alluding to or saying to you, but he's got that whole thing going on, and sometimes he's distracted. And I noticed in several playoff series, he was distracted. It wasn't the defense on him. He's too good. But he gets distracted, and he ends up.
Like you said,
that can be working.
Like you said, is mental. But in these type of cases, I always think it's mental. Whether that mental block is, stupidity, like you mentioned, or if it's just.
That's what
I'm saying. No. Let me finish. That's what I'm saying. It's mental either way, but it could be mental as far as stupidity, or it could be laziness or heart. It's still all mental, because if Vince Carter, as athletic of a person that he is, if he decided, like you said, that I'm going to take some pride into playing defense, you can't tell me that somebody that's that athletic can't lock somebody up or give somebody a hard time. So at any time, like one of these athletic NBA wing players are poorest defenders, it's always mental. If you stop being lazy, or if you just stop being stupid, defense is going to come, because you're just athletic enough to do it. So, James Harden, FOH, with you being the best player in the world, you're definitely among them. Well, y'all know I don't like to say that in the world stuff. I think that's some arrogant America type stuff.
He is.
We don't know. Even though y'all play in these tournaments against other countries, you don't know what's going on around the whole world.
In the world,
somebody in the middle of Africa somewhere running barefoot that will give LeBron all he needs and more. I'm sure of it. I don't know where he is, but
you went to the one place in the world where that's probably true.
In the middle of Africa somewhere.
As long as he made it, get him first.
Yeah, but since he's not on TV, he can't be the best player in the world. So I kind of hate when they say that, but we know what they mean. If you're the best player in the NBA, you're the best player in the world. So you're not there yet, James Harden. I don't know if you'll ever get there, but like the fellas just said, you're going to have to start playing some kind of defense if that's what you're going to do. Last point about the NBA before we talk a little bit about what's going on in the NFL. And by the way, our Eagles they play the Steelers in about 5 minutes or so. So if we sound distracted for the last 30 minutes, then y'all know what it is. Shawn Marion has decided to join the Cavs. Like, this is disappointing to me, man. Like, everybody just runs. I understand. This is the lure of LeBron. He's that dude. Everybody already knows that, LeBron welcomes this. So, a lot of dudes are willing to just, put their pride aside and go chip chase with the king for a little while. Shawn Marion, I never really thought he was that type of dude. I don't know, but then when he dyed his hair blonde, then he lost a few points, so I probably can understand it a little bit now. But what do you guys think about him going to Cleveland? Because the knock on this Cavs team that are suddenly the favorites once this Kevin Love trade goes through is that, they're not very much on the defensive end. You have LeBron, who in my opinion, his defense has regressed a little bit. I already thought that they were trying to make him a little more than what he really was on the defensive end, but now even that, I think it's regressed. That might have just been because of the role he had to take on because Dwayne Wade turned into an old man overnight, so he had to do more on the floor. You had Varejao, who can rebound and hustle a little bit, and I'm trying to think that might be it because Kyrie's not guarding anybody, Wader's not guarding anybody. Tristan Thompson will get you some rebounds, but he's not really guarding anybody. So this is something that they actually needed. But what did you guys think about the pickup? And what do you think about Shawn Marion running to play with the king?
I think that was the unspoken part of the Kevin Love trade that a lot of people, left out was that really what they were giving up with Wiggins, I think it was less about the fact that he could be a superstar for me and more about the fact that he could be a defender right away. So I think Marion at least gives them, possibly 8 to 10 minutes a game where LeBron can take a break from guarding the best wing player on the court and, focus on either offense or possibly come off the court and get a breather. He gives a little bit back, depending on, what sort of shape he is that they lost with Wiggins. But I think defense is still going to be a problem for that team because, as you said, Kyrie's not guarding anybody, Kevin's not guarding anybody, Deion's not guarding anybody. Yeah. But I think Varejao gets you a charge.
Definitely. He'll definitely get you a charge or two. I think, the move you definitely have to, you have to mention the defensive factor in it. But at the same time, Shawn Marion is not the youngest dude, in the league. It seems like everybody they're picking up, besides Shawn Marion, okay, he's going to give you something. And like you said, it might have to be in shorter spurts because of his age. But, the rest of the guys going there, it seems like they're thinking offense. You got James Jones and Mike Miller following. They're trying to get Ray Allen over there. It seems like there has been no concentration on defense until this move. But even this move is a little questionable because, Shawn Marion is going into his wet season. Like, we don't know how effective. We know for sure that he's not going to be the Shawn Marion of old on the defensive end. But
I'm convinced James Jones is hitting. I'm convinced James Jones is hitting the body or something for LeBron James because I don't see why they were wasting a roster spot on him. He couldn't play 3 years ago.
And he ugly.
According to Devin, he couldn't play when he was born.
I mean, Mike Miller still has a little tiny bit left. Ray Allen probably still has a little bit left. If you look at Shawn Marion's numbers, he actually didn't play. He didn't have that bad of a season last year. So, he could, like I said, he could give them 10 minutes a game and still be, I think, somewhat effective. But you're right. They're rebuilding that Miami Heat roster where they're going to look and they're going to look at the bench and their bench is going to be very old and they're not going to have any sort of spark to help them out.
Yeah. Shawn Marion has always been one of my quiet favorites because of everything he did in the league. Go ahead, B. Austin, so we can
Right. I mean, we kind of on the same page with that, Dev, and everybody that listens to the show. You know, I root for ugly people. I root for
Sam
fat guys.
Shout out.
And I root for tough guys. Sean Marion has always, in my estimation, been two of those three. He's ugly and he's a tough guy. And his tool set defensively, he was one of those guys that could literally play three positions. He could defend two positions on your perimeter, and he could go and down on the block and defend the four. As Hank said, I think if I'm completely objective and not really looking at the Dickey factor, I like this move because it does give LeBron someone that for 10 minutes can replace him defensively on the best player, and then for another 5 to 7 minutes, you can put them out there together, and you can say, Sean, go use this pick and roll, dive to the cup, let me throw it up and see if you can tap it in because I know you're not the Matrix anymore. So I like the move, but as a man, I just thought he would have more pride than to Dickey and go run with LeBron. Like, that's so grossly corny to me. It's so corny. It's so corny.
You trying to get another chip for you?
Did I say it's corny?
Especially in Cleveland. If he was in Miami, you can give somebody a pass. But it's Cleveland.
Because you give him a pass because it's Miami. It's Miami. You can go dye your hair blonde again and be on South Beach. But in Cleveland, that was a corny move to me. That, as you said, it's not going to work out necessarily the way that you think, because outside of LeBron, they don't have any primary rotation defenders. Kyrie Irving doesn't play. He doesn't do that. That's not he. You can interview him and he'll say that the defense is not what I do. That's not why I'm here. Dion, PSP, hashtag Philly support Philly, but we know what Dion Waiters is and what he's not. Man, that roster is interestingly constructed. Kevin Love has challenges defending black people. It's just what it is. I mean, he can't defend that. What are they going to do? How is this going to pan out with the bench looking like it is?
We'll see. I mean, we still got, some time for them to do whatever they're going to do to make that team what it's going to be. So we'll see, man. But let's move on real quick because we got a little bit of time left. I know people want to talk some NFL. So real quick, everybody, make sure you check out the website, warroomsports.com. If you want to call in and speak with us about any of today's topics, preferably about football, if you do get through, you can dial the Digital Extreme Tech hotline at 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to talk. All right, NFL Wrap, as usual, is brought to you by Stitcher Smart Radio. You can now hear our show, The War Room, on Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher allows you to listen to your favorite shows directly from your computer, your iPhone, your Android phone. If you still got a BlackBerry or a Palm phone, God bless, but you can listen to them there too. The latest episode is always available for you, no syncing needed, no memory or storage wasted. Downloading is very easy. Just click on the Stitcher logo on our website and listen, or you can download it to your mobile phone directly from that page. But before you do, make sure you enter the promo code, The War Room, or one word, for a chance to win a cash prize. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio. All right, NFL preseason. We're about halfway through this thing. And halfway through, there's been a noticeable change in the league. They're enforcing like the defensive calls a little more, defensive backfield calls like holding and illegal contact and pass interference and stuff like that. So there has been a lot of penalty flags during the preseason because they're trying to get the players acclimated to what they could be enforcing during the regular season. I can't see in any way them throwing a flag like they've been doing in the preseason at this clip when the regular season starts, because they're just going to turn fans off. I think they're basically phasing the defensive back out of the game with how they're enforcing these rules now. It's crazy, man. We were at like game 17 of the preseason, and there had already been 62 penalty flags for, like defensive holding, illegal contact, and things like that. Like, what do you guys think is the reason that they want to, enforce it in this way right now? Like, they don't want defense in the league no more?
I think they're trying to phase tackling out and just have human beings out there on the defensive side of the ball to provide some obstacles for very large, tall wide receivers to run around and catch, because the average fan who has an IQ of about 90, 92, they just want to see a long pass caught. So eventually they'll be able to sell practices where there is no defense and they just have one guy send another guy 60 yards down the field and they throw a deep pass and he catches it and people will stand up and clap. But yeah, the defensive part of the game, they want to take all of the chess out of the game and make it completely checkers. Yeah, that's how I see it.
Hank, what are your thoughts on what they're doing?
Yeah, I agree. It's like that old commercial, chicks dig the long ball. Like that's really what it's about. They realize that passing has been the most exciting thing, and they're really, just doing what they can to keep the passing game alive. I feel the most upset for, my old position was safety. Like, I have no idea how you can play safety in the new NFL. Like, you can't hit anybody, you can't touch anybody. Like, it's really what you said, be awesome. Like, you're literally just an obstacle to stand there, and maybe if it's a bad pass, you can try to intercept it, but don't brush against anybody as you're intercepting because they'll throw a flag on you.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm gonna throw something else into the pot that people have basically been talking about when it comes to the amount of flags that we've seen. Fantasy football. And a lot of people think because of the money that fantasy football has been generating and, because of basically how it brings so many people to the game, casual fans as well as diehards, they think that it's actually infiltrating the game a little bit and making a difference in the rules, or at least on how the rules are enforced. If you're calling these kind of penalties, then, because, fantasy football is basically an offensive-based game. You have some defensive stats that you can get, but, you're really not counting on your defense to be the catalyst of your fantasy team. So, when I have that conversation with somebody, it actually makes sense because there's big money in fantasy football. And I'm not saying it's the whole reason, but it's definitely a variable in the way that they're calling this. And if you could ever get anybody to admit that,
are you looking at that as
I think that's deplorable.
The penalties allow the offense more opportunity?
Of course.
Is that kind of
it allows them. It definitely allows them more opportunities. If you look at what's going on in these preseason games, I've watched a ton of preseason games so far, and it's ridiculous how many times you see a team down to 3rd and long, and the team gets off the field, and then everybody turns around, and it's a yellow flag laying out there for some ticky-tack illegal contact because you bumped into somebody more than 5 yards down the field. It is ridiculous, man, and it does give the offense more opportunities. Like watching our own team, watching the Eagles preseason game against New England last week, they like a lot of 3rd downs. Like, they actually got off the field, but a lot of several of New England's drives were kept alive by 3rd down penalties, and look, they ended up scoring 45 points in a preseason game. So I definitely think it's a variable within this whole thing.
It's funny you mentioned that because last season, if you look at the top 5 defenses, at least 3 of them were in the top 5 most penalized defenses as well. So the principles of the game have not really changed. You have to be physical in order to be successful and win. So what that translates to me is a lot of game stoppages. And the more game stoppages you have and the longer it takes, 2 things could happen. The fans could be upset because it's now taking, 4.5 hours, what should be 3.5. Or you get more commercial time, more fantasy time, more commercials get run. I don't know. I definitely think something is up. Something's funny. The safety position is being devalued. Cornerback position is being devalued. Hell, linebackers are being devalued. Anybody that has to tackle, strike, or cover is at a huge disadvantage, man.
Okay.
It's bad to watch.
But the thing is, personally, I'm kind of over fantasy football. I mean, you knew I was going down this road. I wrote my very first article, my very first blog for War Room Sports was about fantasy football and how it twists up the way you root for the game. So, 4 years later, I'm kind of in fantasy burnout. I run a league every year. That's probably the only reason I'm still playing. I never play in more than one league at a time. And if I could find somebody to actually run this league from here on out, I'm probably done with the whole thing. But that's just me, because as I'm getting tired of it, it's getting more popular. and it seems, I'm not going to say this definitively, but it seems like, it's even, creeping into the rule book. So that would be deplorable if we could ever get anybody to admit that that's the actual case, but we'll never, ever, ever get them to do that. So in Cleveland, Brian Hoyer will be the starting quarterback, at least for now, over Johnny Football. Johnny Football is going to be Johnny Clipboard for the foreseeable future. Do you guys think the coach made the right decision?
Yes, absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt.
I mean, why is that? It has to be the veteran versus rookie thing, because nobody, at least in preseason games, we're not privy to practices, but at least in preseason games, nobody's really earned that spot. You can't really say that Brian Hoyer earned it through preseason, but he does have the experience.
It is a veteran thing. It is a veteran thing, and then it's also his kind of his story. I'm being a little mushy with it. I mean, I like the fact that he was able to win a starting job, and prior to being injured, he was doing very well as a signal caller for the Browns. I liked him in that role. So I'd like to see him be able to regain that starting job and meet with some success. Look, they've invested money in Johnny Football. Johnny Football's time will come. I know the way that I think I look at it is antiquated, because I don't mind a situation where you've got an Aaron Rodgers that had an opportunity to sit and watch the game for 3 seasons. I think that benefited him, and I think that it can benefit just about any quarterback that's in that position. But that's not what happens today, and that's not a reality. It's more of an anomaly. But if Johnny can sit and watch someone be professional and win some games, it may help his career.
I understand that, but at the same time, when you talk about Aaron Rodgers got to sit behind a Hall of Famer, and that team was making the playoffs every year. You know what I'm saying? This is Cleveland.
Right.
So if Hoyer, if they lose their first 3-4 games, or if they, just have a mediocre record halfway through, how much benefit is he getting by not being thrown into the fire? I think sometimes you have to be, but, we've seen situations where it may not have been good. Like the David Carr situation always comes to mind, because David Carr was, I always thought that he was in an unfair situation. There's some quarterbacks that come out and they just stink. But I think David Carr was I think his confidence was literally battered out of him by the amount of hits that he
more
took.
Than anybody in history.
Exactly. So I think the confidence was battered out of him. But in some cases, if you're sitting back and you're learning from a guy who's, losing every game, then what's really the point of sitting behind him? So I think Brian Hoyer will have a very short leash, considering the popularity, first of all, of Johnny Football in Cleveland. The pressure's going to be there from the fans. I mean, you really never should listen to the fans as a coach, but the pressure's going to be there. And if they're losing, the pressure's really going to be there. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good
Johnny,
for now.
I think Johnny lost the starting spot when he gave the finger to the Washington football team.
Yeah, he showed his lack of maturity.
I think
it was the lack of maturity, and when they said what happened, it was because they were heckling him. So it showed that he was weak mentally. And I think they're starting Hoyer because they know that if they went the opposite way and started Johnny, and Johnny was messing up, and they had to take him out and start Hoyer, they would lose him mentally for the rest of the year, if not for the rest of his career.
Great point.
So when he showed that, that pretty much set it in stone that they have to start Hoyer first and then come with Johnny, because Johnny wouldn't be able to handle being benched.
Yeah, good point.
That's a great point. That's definitely a great point. All right, so let's take it back to the Washington, D.C. area, the Washington football team and their quarterback situation now. We're saying quote-unquote quarterback situation, but they really don't have a situation. Robert Griffin III is their quarterback. The reason that I'm bringing this up is just the fact that the rumblings out of the last few weeks have been, all the reports are saying that Kirk Cousins is outplaying Robert Griffin III. Like I said, that will never make a difference because this is the franchise, or at least, this is what they've mortgaged their franchise on, probably before they realized whether or not he really was a franchise quarterback. But he's the franchise all the same. He's the franchise all the same. But, the Patriots started this rumble when they had the joint practices and then played the preseason game. A couple of Patriots defenders, came out. I think it probably was anonymous, but they were saying that Kirk Cousins is definitely the best quarterback on Washington's roster. Now, throw all that aside, you watch RG3 play, and it's kind of the same stuff that, that got him hurt a few times. Or maybe didn't get him hurt, but he plays recklessly. And I don't know if you guys watched their last preseason game, but he took some unnecessary hits, especially for it to be a preseason game. There was one play when he was scrambling instead of just sliding. He tries to get, 2-3 more yards, and he gets pinballed by at least 3 defenders. And you look, you're like, what are you thinking? You barely do that in the regular season, but this is preseason game number 2, and you're allowing yourself to take those kind of hits. And this team, frankly, needs you to revert back to year 1 to be half decent. So what's up with this guy? I mean, we hear all the time how bright he is, how smart he is, but I think that's just that mantra. Any black dude who can put together a sentence, they look at us as being so intelligent. But as far as football IQ, I haven't seen, what he's cracked up to be yet. What do you guys think about, what he's going to do this season?
Man, Bob Norbit, a.k.a. Robert Griffin, isn't intelligent. He's just been in a position where he's learned to speak the King's English. This dude cannot read a playbook, and now he's got another playbook in front of him that he's got to learn. He plays a little bit a brand of ball that could be considered hero ball, and he's got a chip on his shoulder, and that's a dangerous thing because he has the chip, he's got the pride, he's distancing himself from his teammates, so he's going out there on some me against the world, and that's going to play right into defensive coordinators, man. That's going to play right into him. We know this guy's going to try and do it, so make sure he feels it. We'll take the flag.
Yeah.
We'll take the flag. So,
Hank, what are your thoughts on Robert? I
think part of it is Robert's still recovering, but I don't trust that organization. I think a lot of those leaks about how great Kirk Cousins is because they're still trying to trade him. They've been trying to sell everybody on how great Kirk Cousins is for the last 2 years in order to get a draft pick for him. So, there's a possibility that he may be playing better than Robert Griffin III, but I've never seen Kirk come in a game and think that he is a superstar quarterback. So, whereas I've seen games where RG3 has absolutely looked like a dominant force on the field.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. I told you I'm watching the screen, man. I'm sitting here reacting like we're not on the air. I definitely.
I don't believe hype.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, especially about Kirk Cousins. I don't believe the Kirk Cousins hype myself. What I do believe is that RG3 might not be what he was cracked up to be in his first year. I even said this going into last year. A lot of people want to give him the injury excuse, but I actually thought that having the knee injury gave Robert the chance to show what everybody was saying around draft time. Around draft time, everybody was saying he's not a running quarterback. He's a quarterback that can run. That wasn't really what they showed the first year because the offense, I think, kind of coddled him. You know, a lot of dink and dunks, a lot of short passes, play action, long pass, but not a lot of intermediate, not a lot of timing routes. So his numbers, in my opinion, in year one were kind of fool's gold because, of course, if you're dinking and dunking, you're going to have a high percentage. You're not going to throw a lot of interceptions. When they tried to open up the offense a little bit last season, you started to see his struggles with accuracy and all of that. But I thought it was the perfect chance to show, okay, I don't need to have world-class speed to chop people up because, you know, this is what I'm supposed to be.
And
I thought he had an opportunity to show it. Okay, so even if we want to go ahead and scratch year two from the record, I think this is kind of a make or break season. Not make or break in the fact that, I mean, in the like he can be Jamarcus Russell or something, because I'll never think he'll be on that level of bad. But I think this is make or break as far as can he really be a franchise superstar quarterback, or is all the hype, you know, not worth it? So, you know, I think, and he has a lot of weaponry around him now, so there's no excuses that you can make for Robert Griffin III this season. So we'll see how he does.
Hank, can I share with you guys what I see in Bob Norbert? I see Donovan McNabb minus a coddling, protective, nurturing system for a quarterback who isn't necessarily that accurate or that bright. So without him being in a system that's designed to maximize his strength and talent, if you ask him to just consistently make big boy throws and be that in the pocket guy, I think you're in for a rude awakening and a long season. That's what I think.
I mean, I think he has, like, you know, he has the Superman mentality where he holds the ball. I mean, we've seen this a lot, you know, with Michael Vick, you know, sometimes with Donovan McNabb. You hold the ball because you know that even if the play breaks down, you have a chance to do something. But, you know, this is the NFL. You know, half the time, those other guys on the other side aren't going to allow you to do that. So when you do take a sack for more yards than the average sack because you're running around thinking you can make something happen, it looks that much worse. But then when you do escape and do something crazy, then, you know, a lot of times the average fan will just forget about your deficiencies and go with I'm going with that, the good stuff. So, you know, it's hit or miss with those type of guys because, like Hank said, he had moments where he was spectacular and, you know, had the whole city chanting his name, and then you have moments like now where I'm listening to DC Talk Radio because I don't know if you guys heard about the last thing. He went on Twitter either today or yesterday to address his doubters. And this was actually something I thought he was past. Like, he definitely has to learn to kind of be quiet sometimes, but he went on Twitter and said they doubted in high school, they doubted a turnaround at Baylor, they doubted a Heisman was possible. Keep doubting, it's nothing new. And this is not my point. This is a point from a caller, actually, that I heard on DC Radio. He was saying, this sounds like a guy who's not particularly confident about his future because, you know, everything he's saying, he's kind of living in the past, telling you what he did in the past. And, like, do you guys agree with that point? First of all, do you agree that he needs to be quiet sometimes?
There's no reason to bring that stuff up. If you're secure in your position and you're good to go, there's no real reason to even address that other than a Tim Tebow hashtag God bless. There's no reason to address that. So it's on his mind. He's thinking about those things. Those are things that live in the front of his mind.
And that's actually what the guy was saying. He was like, these are the things that are on his mind when, you know, he should be focused on what he's going to do to get better instead of focusing on what everybody thinks. Stop worrying about everybody else and, you know, just worry about you, get better, and all the stuff that you're trying to prove with your words to the doubters, you know, it's better shown in actions. So, I thought the caller definitely made a very good point. And I think sometimes they do need to keep dude away from the media because he's.
I just thought about this.
Little volatile.
You know how I know? You know how I know Kirk Cousins isn't that good? Because, or the Redskins don't really believe he's that good.
He's still on their team, first of all.
The Washington football team, why they don't believe he's that good is because if he really was that good, you wouldn't have a problem with RG3 going ahead, playing his reckless style, doing those things that he does to win the games and getting hurt, and then knowing that you have Kirk Cousins there to run a more conservative offense on the games where Robert Griffin can't play. I mean,
you're still paying that dude a lot though, so you don't want him to go out there and just pinball himself to death. But
are you paying him that much? He's under the new rookie scale now. You're not paying him a ridiculous amount of money anymore.
It's not ridiculous. Maybe why I sound like always getting his helmet knocked off.
He doesn't have a chin strap, man. He does that to let the ladies see his face. That's all.
Yeah.
But you go ahead, you win 6 games. You win 6 games a season from Robert, and then if Kirk was that good, you can win 4 or 5 from him again a season.
Yeah, but even before, because he's actually on deck as far as contracts are concerned. But they gave up a lot to get him, so either way he's still a big investment. So they don't want him to go out there and kill himself. And I mean I still think I don't think it's about Kirk Cousins. I mean I think people like the defenders on the New England Patriots, I think they're just using that to hype the whole thing. Because for me, it's not about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins can go out in the preseason, as far as I'm concerned, and play lights out, and never will he be my starting quarterback over the guy that I just gave up all of these first-round picks for. Like, I'm going, even though this isn't the same regime as far as coaching, but I'm going down with that ship if I'm the management. So you have to.
Hank,
so
they traded.
Hell with Kirk Cousins.
They gave the St. Louis Rams. They gave them
St. Louis
7
ransom
first-round picks and about 45 second-round picks to get these.
No, but you're definitely right. I don't think it's about Cousins. I think it's about what Griffin does, because I don't think Cousins is good enough to replace him. I don't think Cousins is going to be the one to get the contract. So, yeah, they can miss me with that as well, but it's about how good Robert is, not really about how good Cousins is. So who do you guys think, if you could name if you can name like a player or two in the NFL who has like the most pressure on them this coming season, like who would those guys be? I think one is RG3, personally, because like I said, he has to let this, not only the fan base, he has to let the organization know, and the league, he has to let us know which one is the real Robert, year 1 or year 2. In Philly, I think Nick Foles has the pressure of life on him just because he plays for the Eagles, and, with Eagles fans. I mean, he had a bad preseason game 1, 16 plays, threw 2 picks, the same amount he threw the whole season last year, and he had already lost the city until he played all right last week. And they're dropping a lot of passes tonight, by the way. But, Hank, who do you think are the guys with the pressure?
I think you got to put Sam Bradford up there, because it's really
Macklin's knee.
Sam Bradford, it's time. If he's going to be something, he's going to have to, show it, because it's been 5-6 years. He was the last one to get that. He was the last one to get that super duper deal. So I think Sam Bradford really is going to have to show that he could do something. And he finally has a couple, weapons to actually throw to now. So Sam Bradford's had a Scott.
Peyton,
I think they got away with a false start anyway.
Peyton Manning.
You think
Peyton
pressure
Manning
on
got
Peyton
a lot
Manning?
of pressure on him.
Peyton Manning got to win. Got to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, his pressure is different. His pressure, but why is it pressure though? Because people talk like he doesn't already have one. Like, the dude just threw 55 touchdowns. I don't think he has the same kind of pressure as these dudes who actually have to prove themselves to, or look over their shoulder for, their team's trying to draft another guy.
He's playing a legacy, huh?
But is Peyton Manning's legacy not set? Touchdown. Is his legacy not set, though?
Beautiful play.
What do you think, B? We only got like 10 seconds. You don't think his legacy is set already? I mean, that's your pick. I ain't gonna.
His legacy is
your pick. But.
His legacy is set. But another Super Bowl for me is clear, far and away best QB of all time.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying though. Listen to what you're saying. One more Super Bowl makes him the best of all time. So I don't see that as pressure. If you fall short of that, that means you're still amongst the best of all time. So
well,
I think that's
I think that you still.
That's
I think unless he wins another one, not only can he not be considered the greatest of all time, but you have to always have those conversations about him losing the big games. So so he can erase that this year if he's able to win one. Because right now, when you talk about Peyton, you have to say, yeah, but his playoff record was blah 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 blah.
He got there more than everybody else. You got to lose some. Yeah, hear me? I'm apologizing for him, but we're out of time. Maybe we can pick this up on War Room Sports TV or something. So everybody, thanks for joining us again in the War Room. Shout out to everybody in the chat room on Facebook and Twitter. All the callers who tried to chime in and holler at us. I'm sorry if we didn't, get to the lines that much. We were short some people, no production staff tonight. So thanks to Fred Perdue for joining us to give his Pac-12 and college football playoff previews. Huge thanks to the homie Hank for joining us to help steer this ship. Tune in next week, same place, same time, live right here or on demand on the WRS Podcast Network for some more great sports talk. Our NFL preseason coverage continues as we inch closer to the regular season. So until then, enjoy your week, and we'll see you right back here next week. Be sure to catch our conversations on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere on the net. Watch our videos at warroomsportstv.com and all of our network shows on WRSPN.com. Until next time, everybody, don't accept mediocrity and be steadfast in that war against ignorance. We will see you chumps on top.
Jimmy, know the blueprint. Yo, every Thursday, 6 to 8, they do this. Shout out to Dev, PJ, B. Austin, Doc Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. It's knocked out. 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Yeah. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like magic in the block push. Listen live, push one to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip hop dollars, pit stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Corporate secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC, royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah. You know? Jimmy. Dev. TJ. Doc Beck. The Austin. I'm Jock. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.